Pipes, who's been involved with the Mike Ferry, the Tom Ferry organizations, and he spoke at our Build event. And we talked about was the importance of controlling the narrative, both in terms of our own mindset, what information we're reviewing, what's the real data as opposed to our fears or concerns, and also our ability to communicate with our prospects and our customers. It's important that we understand the market so well that we can control that narrative. And he had some great points, and then I want to share with you kind of what I do in this area that's really helped my business. So he had 4 major points in his presentation on controlling the narrative. Number 1 was have knowledge of the national real estate market stats and data. We should all know what the data is, not by reading articles, but know the actual stats and data. I'm going to show you in just a little bit the sources that I use every single week to help me stay on track with that. Number 2, knowledge of MLS, local, and neighborhood market stats and data. Now, I expand that a little bit because I think it's important to know your MLS, the greater area you work in, your local, which can be your city or zip code, and the neighborhood market stats when you talk to individual customers about their particular property. Because at the end of the day, a buyer or seller only cares about the property that they're going to buy or sell, and we have to become experts in that. Number 3, your belief that it's still a good time to buy a home. Now, I'm going to change this a little bit because what he said was your belief is a good time to buy. It may or may not be a good time to buy for anybody else, for somebody else. The question is it a good time to buy for that customer? And typically, a customer will be in a financial position where it makes sense to buy and will be concerned about the overall market. Our job is to show them where the actual market is, and if it is the right time, why it's the right time for them to buy. And or if they need to sell, why it's a great time for them to sell. So again, it's not our job to convince everybody to buy a house because it's not appropriate for them. But it is our job to help those that should buy get over the fear and uncertainty by providing information. And then number 4, your ability to convey 1, 2, and 3 effectively. And this is something I work at all the time, is having conversations that are effective with buyers, sellers, and agents. Because agents will say things like the market's crashing. Well, it's not crashing. It might have shifted. It might be shifting, but it's really not crashing here in Los Angeles, for example. And so it's important to be able to convey that to your customers and to your prospects as you do business. Now, I want to share with you a few tools that I use to help me learn that data. So one of them that's fantastic is interest rates. And I use Mortgage News Daily, mortgagenewsdaily.com. And to be honest, on my computer screen, I have 3 screens. I have this screen up all day long, and I look at this number right here, what the 30-year fixed is. Now, you'll notice it's 5.99. It had been over 6 a month or 2 ago. It had come back down and then recently jumped back up again. And it's flirting with 6. And I want to watch that number because the interest rates affect payments. Payments affect the ability of buyers to buy a property. Now, we have inflation of 8 to 9% or higher. So wouldn't be surprised if rates continue to go up. But for now, I watch that all the time. And this is the best source to watch. And I've done other videos on my channel on why the market data presented by the real estate industry is so bad. And that's why I like using actual raw data. And this mortgage rate is like a stock market. There's a real rate every minute of every day. And there's statistics I think that are fake based on surveys, based on data that might be a week old or 30 days old. This is right now what a mortgage is costing. So to me, it's the best source of information. Another source I use for national market data is Terradatum. And this is a fantastic resource that has a national market stats and has it every single week. And they review inventory, new listings, under contract, sold, and off market. And they show the last 5 years. And so, for example, we talk about inventory, for example. Yes, inventory this year is higher than last year. It's higher by, whatever it is, 480,000 versus 440. So maybe 10%, 9% higher than last year. But look, way lower than 2020, way lower than pre-pandemic. And so knowing the actual data and having context helps me understand that while inventory might have gone up, it still is well below historic standards. It also has the numbers of new listings. You can see plummeting. Under contract, again, at the lower of the spectrum. Sold, way lower. So here's a truth. The number of sales is way down by number, but of course the price is higher. So the total sales is probably about the same as years past. And then off-market sales, which is much higher. That's an interesting trend to note. But Terradatum is where I go for national stats to help me understand where the market is nationally on a week-to-week basis. Now, in California, because I'm a California realtor, we have CAR, California Association of Realtors, has some great resources. And one is this share file they put up every week with updated statistics. So you can see here it was last updated 8/29, so that was about 2 or 3 days ago. Every Tuesday they update this whole package. And it has a housing market overview. Now, the bad news is it only has the last 3 years, which looks terrible because of the pre-pandemic period not being shown. But that said, it'll show you the actual closed sales, pendings, listings, and some great graphs. And it will show you where the market is right now in the context of, again, the pandemic period right now, the last 3 years, but still is great data to keep you up to date on where the market is. Another great resource that CAR offers is a weekly write-up. And I'm going to have the links to all this in the description down below, so you don't need to copy or screenshot it. This is their weekly write-up. And it talks and has a nice graphic for the state as far as what's happening overall. And then there's some write-ups that you can use or read and rewrite if you want to understand what is your the best way to present statistics to your customers. And so again, these are just resources that we have in California. I'm sure there are similar sources to this overall in other states as well. And then there's another tool I want to show you this CR has that's fantastic as well. These are actual social media pieces that are created on the housing market, and you can select different counties. And then because I'm in LA County, I could change it. But if I did say, for example, Orange County, it will offer all the cities of Orange County. And it creates these pieces for each individual city that you can click on, and it creates a great social media piece that you can share. So here's Cypress, California, home sales, median price. And so if you want to talk about your area, what a nice social media piece to share on a regular basis. The actual data in the county, if there's a particular county that you want to work on, and if there's a particular city. And I recommend that you review that once a month for your city and county and post that information as well. Okay, so that's statewide data. Next, I would say local. So I'm a member of the combined LA West Side, CLAW, and we use Vesta Plus. I know in different areas, MLS is a little different, but they all have something like this, which I call a stats package. Ours is called Neighborhood Trendline, and you click on it, and this will give you all the data for your MLS, so as opposed to the county or the city. And you can put in individual zip codes if you want to, and it will have, like I did recently, 90025, and I did specifically condos in this report. But you can do whatever you sell. So this is for an agent on our team that sells condos, but imagine that he was doing single-family residences. I can just change and update the data. And it creates a nice graph on homes for sale, closed sales. And these are some interesting stats. Percentage of the last list price. You can see they were still selling over list price. Recently, maybe at 99%. We finally came down below the average sale being over list price. And the dollar per square foot, which is a very interesting indicator. The trend line there is still going up. So again, this is a great resource for those of us in this MLS. And I know that other people who have other MLSs, if you're in CRMLS, they have a stats package as well. So I would urge you to learn your particular stats package and be an expert in it. Additionally, I would recommend that you do a basic CMA for any neighborhood that you're doing business in. Where did we go? Here we are. So any particular area that you're doing business in, and present that and review that information. So if you're selling houses, let's say not just in Diamond Bar or Walnut, but let's say in Snow Creek, you need to create an MLS CMA for Snow Creek, and then look at those houses and have that data as well, and be able to present that to your customers. I'll give you a great cheat sheet. Redfin has, let me just show this again. Redfin has a great cheat sheet where you can put in by zip code. I put in 90035. You go city or an address. And then what they do is They give you a great summary, average sales price, up or down last year, average square foot, up or down, and they give you this nice little graph that you can copy and paste or screenshot and use in your social media. They also talk about if it's hot or not, how many average offers there are. The average one, some homes get multiple offers. The average sell in 35 and a half days. The average 12% above list price, or hot homes do. So it has some great information. It shows a trend line over the last few years. It also shows schools in the area. So this is a great, I think cheat sheet, flooding, which isn't such a big deal where I live in LA, how walkable it is. So this is a great cheat sheet for a particular zip code or area that you're working on a buyer with, worthy of your review. So here's what I do. Now, all that's a lot of information. What do you do with it? So I'll tell you what I've done to help position myself as an expert with my clients is I schedule time on my calendar every week to review that data. Of course, when a deal comes up or a prospect comes up, I'll research that particular property in the MLS using the stats package and doing a CMA. But every week I review the market data. I review national, state, local, and then I create some content pieces to share on my social media. Now, in my case, I started just writing a little bit. I would take an article that I found interesting, and then I would write 1 or 2 sentences and link to that article. I email that to my database. And as I got more comfortable, I started writing more and more to where now I write maybe 4 or 5 paragraphs and have several articles and different data sources added in. But you can start with just one little piece like I did. And then the other thing you can do is take data you find interesting and record a short video. Analyze the data nationally. You can analyze it statewide. You can analyze the county. You can analyze a different video for different cities that you do business in. And you can do a different video for any neighborhoods that you do business in and post those. An expert's not somebody who knows the whole market. An expert is somebody who knows more than the person that is paying attention to them. And so we all have the opportunity, I think the obligation, to help our customers by being experts in the market data and not do that by relying on the news being reported online, but to look at the actual data, to experience it over time, analyze it, and share it from our unique perspective. So that's what I do on a regular basis. I hope that helps you as well. If I can help you in any way, call me, text me, email me. As always, make today